An ancient manor appeared on a barren mountain in the city's defense zone. Its ability to manifest a domain suggests the ghost inside is likely, at least to be level specter. Nearby 3 psychic masters had been watching it for a long while. After thinking, they decided to go in, confident in 3B level psychic masters. Even if defeated, they could escape easily. Plus, any treasure could be worth millions. Who wouldn't take that chance for millions? Soon the 3 were at the house's front. Without hesitation, they went right in. The courtyard was silent except for the wind, drawing attention to the ancient, sturdy tree adorned with red ribbons and bells with a well nearby. They decided to search the rooms one by one. Strangely, the rooms were empty. They forced their way into the last room, breaking down the door, which they didn't expect to withstand. The unexpected situation inside startled them all. Looking closer, they saw it was just a clothes rack with a red wedding dress. Once composed, the 3 got excited, thinking of treasure, and started searching. The bald man among them was the most experienced. He examined the clothes closely and noted something was wrong. The others said their spirits were inactive, so the ghost probably wasn't there and no caution was needed. Maybe it's in the courtyard, the man with glasses suddenly shouted. He seemed to discover something terrifying. A woman's face unexpectedly appeared in the bronze mirror. No one was sitting at the dressing table. Strangely, the woman in the mirror started applying makeup by herself. The 3 were immediately alarmed. Something was definitely wrong. They quickly pulled out their spirit artifacts. Yet, their spirit artifacts remained unresponsive. Their spirit artifacts couldn't summon spirits. The bald man realized it was a rare domain blocking spirit sensing. Without summoned spirits, they were wrapped. Escape was impossible. The doors slammed shut. A ghostly figure appeared behind them, and the once silent house echoed with their screams. After it ended, the house vanished suddenly. The next day, 3B level psychic masters were found dead. President Yan said. After tracking the haunted house for half a month, it finally appeared, looking for something in Liu Cheng. The blonde girl asked President Yan what it sought, but Yan didn't know. The haunted house never appeared and was good at escaping. They must search for something, coming from Chia Chen. It had come all the way to Liu Cheng without leaving any other clues. President Yin ordered the 3 bodies for analysis and sent paper figures to track the haunted house. She ordered Liu Cheng sealed, forbidding psychic masters from leaving until the haunted house was resolved. Lin Feng outside the city remained unaware. He was a bit curious about what happened, especially why sea-level tasks, once hard to get, had increased. He didn't think much of it, planning to earn enough money before heading back. Seeing a chance to test Tong Tong's new sea-level skill, Lin Feng took on another task. After reaching the 3rd orchard of Taping Village to confront the evil spirit, Lin Feng glanced up and spotted a corpse hanging from a tree, its stem disturbingly long. Lin Feng's initial thought was, could this be the ghost of a hanged man? Lin Feng halted after wandering the orchard for a good half hour. He realized the hanging corpse was the very first one he saw upon arrival. Suddenly, Lin Feng sensed movement behind him. Whirling around, he found himself surrounded by corpses. That's when Lin Feng realized he must have entered the domain of the hanged ghost. A ghostly braid snaked silently towards Lin Feng. Already on guard, Lin Feng spun and reached for the braid. He was shocked as the braid passed through his hand. But when it wrapped around his neck, the braid became solid, leaving Lin Feng helpless. He was lifted into the air, but fortunately, Tong Tong arrived just in time. Lin Feng couldn't touch the braid but grabbed the hanging ghost's braid and pulled him to safety. This act enraged the hanging ghost, causing the corpses it controlled to rush at Lin Feng and Tong Tong. Tong Tong switched to evil spirit mode, her combat power instantly surging. Flames sparked on her claws as she tore off the hanging ghost's braid. Within seconds, the corpses were nearly upon them. The hanging ghost's true form must have been hidden. But before they could strike, Tong Tong unleashed ferocious flames that engulfed everything ahead, reducing all to ashes. System notification, Battle 1, obtain incomplete ghost trope. Lin Feng noted that Tong Tong didn't even need her domain, stray spirits were weak for her. Luckily, they gained other rewards. The ghost trope seemed to be another spirit artifact. Lin Feng's reputation as a genius spread fast. He claimed a villa in his first trial. Naturally, some envied his power at such a young age. He was either a spirit communicator or had exceptional spirit potential. If it was the latter, they just had to kill Lin Feng and take his spirits. That way they'd be set. That night, the 2 rushed to the villa district. They found a young guy to ask about Lin Feng. The teenager Ping'an really admires Lin Feng. He told them Lin Feng's house lights are off because he's out on a mission. This is fantastic news for them. A mission out of town proves Lin Feng's ghost spirit's strength. With the city on lockdown, no one would notice if Lin Feng was killed outside. They could earn millions by using a tool to trap Lin Feng's ghost spirit. As for finding him, he already had a plan. In the morning, Lin Feng exited the tent to find Tong Tong stayed up watching over him again. As Lin Feng appeared, Tong Tong's big eyes locked onto him. She gazed at him with a hopeful expression. She then shyly hugged her knees. With her blushing face buried in her knees, Lin Feng wondered if she was seeking praise. Tong Tong is becoming perceptive. Lin Feng patted her head and said, "Thank you, Tong Tong." She closed her eyes, relishing his touch. Lin Feng checked his ID card and found many messages, finally understanding the situation. Something big must have happened outside the city. No wonder no one's competing for missions. Most importantly, he got news that everyone was safe. He heard that the psychic masters in their 30s were discreetly asking about him. Lin Feng was immediately alert, but then he thought, with such a vast area outside the city, they might not be able to find him at all. Lin Feng realized they're not fools. Since they've left the city, they've surely figured out how to find him. Recently, no one has taken the Seal Level missions. As soon as he takes a mission, it disappears from the mission list. They can track him through their communicator. Lin Feng wasn't going to sit idly by. Lin Feng immediately took the Seal Level mission at Xiaofeng Mountain. But he headed toward the quarry where the two were, taking turns on watch. They set off for Xiaofeng Mountain once the mission was taken. They moved quickly to ambush and use the terrain before Lin Feng arrived. They didn't expect that Lin Feng and Tong Tong had already begun battling the Sea Level Spirit at the quarry. The Sea Level Spirit was no challenge at all. After vanquishing it, Lin Feng went to claim the reward, surprising the old man who said no one had taken the task. When he checked the system, he saw it had already been taken. This was Lin Feng's strategy. There were no rules against dealing with the spirit first, and claiming the task afterward at Xiaofeng Mountain. They waited for hours, but Lin Feng never showed up. Checking the board, they noticed another task had vanished. That's when they realized something was off. Still, it's possible that other reckless psychic masters left the city to take on tasks. Waiting here is pointless. They decided to discuss what to do. They agreed to split up, leaving the younger brother here. The older brother went to the quarry to investigate. 2 hours later, he finally arrived. At the quarry, he heard a teenager had defeated the evil spirit alone. It had to be Lin Feng. In a rush, he grabbed the old man's collar, asking when he left and where he went. Terrified, the old man confessed. He left down this path 15 minutes ago. He pointed as he spoke. Hearing this, he tossed the old man aside and dashed off, and ran off in the direction indicated by the old man. Once he was gone, the old man brushed the dust off himself in frustration. He quickly tipped off Lin Feng, thinking it's absurd that someone so arrogant became a psychic master. Receiving the message with such arrogance made Lin Feng realize for sure that he indeed had someone tailing him. Just 3 hours ago, Lin Feng handed the old man 5,000 points to get confirmation. Points. He instructed him to say he just left 15 minutes ago if anyone asked. The old man agreed without hesitation, and when Lin Feng saw his message, he laughed. "Do they think they can push me around? Looks like they've got someone watching Xiaofeng Mountain now." Someone arrived at the quarry, thinking I just left and waiting for the next task. Lin Feng already killed the spirits before the cold water cave task. Lin Feng wanted one to go to Cold Water Cave, delaying reunion at Little Feng Mountain. He quickly went to Little Feng Mountain to take advantage of the timing gap. At the same time, the older brother received a message from the younger one. Upon learning the Cold Water Cave task was taken, he planned to take a shortcut to get there first. Lin Feng clearly understood every ambush. "If you have plans for me, then let me be the hunter." As Lin Feng neared Little Feng Mountain, the bow on his chest reacted. Tong Tong appeared in Biden, instantly entering evil spirit mode. Before he realized what was happening, Lin Feng found himself in Tong Tong's embrace. A ribbon whirled around them, forming a ball that swiftly soared into the sky. A red flash swept by, and once it faded, Tong Tong released the ribbon. Watching the red light disappear, Lin Feng realized a formidable enemy had passed by. So Tong Tong hid herself. Once assured of their safety, Tong Tong exited evil spirit mode. Tong Tong awakened ghost concealment, usable without fully deploying her domain. It allows for creating a barrier. She also gained a chance at a draw. Without delay, Lin Feng took a chance on the lottery and gained a new ability. The ability allows repairing ghost weapons or upgrading them using others. It was Lin Feng's first time holding Tong Tong's hand. Ghosts usually need to solidify energy to avoid passing through objects, but Lin Feng managed to. Lin Feng could touch Tong Tong because he won the ability to repair ghost weapons in the lottery. It required teamwork with the ghost, so they both held the damaged rope in their hands. Guided by Lin Feng, Tong managed to repair the ghost rope, which can now be used to trap. As a result, the ghost rope's value soared several-fold. It will also give Lin Feng a solid edge in his upcoming battles. He's never battled a psychic master before, but the ghost rope gives him a fighting chance. A voice suddenly called Brat from behind Lin Feng, who turned to see several psychic masters approaching, drawn by the red light from earlier. They asked Lin Feng, "You're the apprentice psychic master, right? Have you seen?" They stopped mid-sentence and hurried past Lin Feng, deciding to leave it be. "It's dangerous outside. Head back to the city, quickly." Even though you missed part of it, Lin Feng figured out the gist. The ghost that terrifies Tong Tong is being hunted by the Psychic Master Association. It's likely the one that led to Liu Ci's lockdown. Lin Feng sighed in relief, thankful that the red light was in a different direction, otherwise he wouldn't dare to go. "We need to move fast near the edge of Sector 1. President Yan is examining the situation." The three bodies show no sign of spiritual energy. They died before they could summon any spirits. Even an A-class spirit couldn't instantly kill 3B level psychic masters. Just then, a message came in. A trail was found heading southwest towards Xiaofeng Mountain, and they encountered a teenage apprentice master who hasn't returned to the city. Please notify the school. President Yan replied, okay, I'll be there soon, thinking to herself. Could the courageous teen apprentice who's out of the city be Lin Feng? That night at Xiaofeng Mountain, Lin Feng didn't act rashly. He scoped out the scene first. Lin Feng assessed the situation. They'll likely ambush us from that mountain building with the best of you. The younger brother, talking to the elder, is impatient and asks why they haven't arrived. The elder brother is puzzled by how the spirits worked out with as he arrived at Coldwater Cave. Despite some issues, the duo didn't mind. To them, Lin Feng is doomed, already preparing a buyer for Tong Tong. Little did they know, Lin Feng had taken a detour. From behind, Lin Feng smiled at his words. Do they really think my system's useless? If they've planned to sell Tong Tong, let him feel the consequences. Turning at the noise, Tong Tong had already activated evil spirit mode and lunged at him. He reacted swiftly, pulling out his spirit artifact. Quickly summoned a Class C spirit, the cat-faced ghost mother. With a swoosh, it lunged at Tong Tong, distracting the duo. The brother retreated, but Lin Feng stayed on his heels. Just as he steadied himself, Lin Feng was there with a clang. Lin Feng drew his golden blade, aiming for the opponent's heart. Even a Class B psychic couldn't dodge that. The opponent let out a sharp scream. The cat-faced ghost mother abandoned Tong Tong and rushed to her master's side. With a roar, she summoned her domain, shielding the psychic master. Lin Feng snapped to, finding himself on a rooftop surrounded by black cats. At a piercing cat screech, all the black cats sprang into action, surrounding Lin Feng and Tong Tong from every side. Tong Tong felt frustrated. She couldn't take on so many enemies by herself. Afraid that Lin Feng might get hurt, she unleashed her own domain. The cat-faced hag looked stunned. The aura of this domain was overwhelmingly powerful. Though shocked, Lin Feng felt a thrill of excitement about finally seeing Tong Tong's domain. After Tong Tong's summoning, an amusement park appeared in the cat-faced hag's domain. Lin Feng was momentarily speechless. Tong Tong was still such a kid that even her domain was an amusement park. But none of this diminished Tong Tong's power within the amusement park. With a flick of her hand, she brought all the amusement park's attractions to life. The younger brother's face was filled with disbelief. As Lin Feng's spirit became this powerful, Tong Tong's toys rampaged through the witch's domain and hindered. Only the cat-faced witch could fight back, but even she was overwhelmed. She couldn't focus on her psychic master, but fortunately, he was strong. He quickly dodged several lethal attacks. He underestimated Tong Tong's domain and realized his mistake as he retreated. A buzzer clown rose from the shadows, blocking his retreat. This time, he was facing the abyss with no way out. With a crunch, the clown still seemed hungry for more. The cat-faced witch's domain was within reach of Tong Tong. Under relentless attack, it started to vanish, and Tong Tong simultaneously withdrew his domain. No need to use a powerful skill against the domain-less cat-faced witch. After the spirit's domains dissolved, they didn't return to Xiaofeng Mountain but instead reached strange ancient first path where a building called Dijiao Temple stood at the end. Two massive hands blocked the Dijiao Temple entrance, making Lin Feng uneasy. Tong Tong stood by to react. Was this another domain? Echoes of wooden fish sounded, and the cat-faced witch appeared flying to Dijiao Temple. Tong Tong defied Lin Feng's orders, chasing after the cat-faced witch. Lin Feng realized something was off with the wooden fish sound. Tong Tong wouldn't disobey, heading to Dijiao Temple's entrance. The giant hand released a narrow gap just wide enough to pass through. A cat-faced ghost woman burst in, passing through a sheet of light. Lin Feng was desperate to find out what had happened. Looking closely, he saw embroidered shoes that seemed poised to run out, but they weren't wrapped by the barrier of light. Meanwhile, Tong Tong was about to pass through the light into Dijiao Temple. Seeing this, Lin Feng was alarmed, sensing he must not let Tong Tong enter. The recently repaired ghost stroke proved useful, swiftly binding her under Lin Feng's command. Panicking, Lin Feng pulled Tong Tong back. Lin Feng pulled hard, causing Tong Tong to crash into his arms, and they both tumbled to the ground. When she snapped out of it, Tong Tong had already exited evil spirit mode. With the embroidered shoe Lin Feng saw earlier, she gave him a happy look. She focused on Lin Feng, unaware of the red light tracked by the Psychic Master Association, making a sharp turn. Startled, members of the Psychic Master Association quickly went on alert. Expecting a battle, they were surprised when the red light shot through the crowd and darted away. That's when the Psychic Master Association members realized they weren't the target and hurriedly updated President Yan with their position. Tong Tong maxed out his experience points again and instantly chose to level up. Tong Tong was bumped up to level B. Lin Feng received double physical enhancement and Tong Tong's skills advanced. Givar chance increased from 30 to 50. The domain became intermediate and the system issued a new task. Bind the second spirit and choose an artifact to form a bond. For successful binding, good spirits need a bond of 20 while evil spirits need more. A bond of 50. Lin Feng couldn't quite describe his feelings. The systems also made upgrades fast and add spirits. Regular psychic masters might take decades, but Lin Feng now has plenty of spirit artifacts. He definitely needs to pick a strong one. So, the mysterious embroidered shoes he just got are Lin Feng's top choice. Once confirmed, he started the bond mission to return the shoes to the bride and regent. System alert, the bride and regent senses the embroidered shoes and will attack if held. Return the shoes without getting killed, and you'll complete the task. Meanwhile, the red light pursued by the psychic master headed straight for Lin Feng. It was clear up close this was the same dress from the haunted house. Lin Feng searched Xiaofeng Mountain for the dead psychic master's body but only found an ag, raising his suspicions. Could he and the cat-faced ghost granny have been pulled into Jingshan Honorary? Realizing this, Lin Feng didn't hesitate. He needed to find a new place to prepare for combat. The bride and regent and another psychic master will arrive soon. After searching, Lin Feng found a tree at the cliff's edge, offering a clear view. He could clearly see everything below the mountain. Once settled, Lin Feng, posing as the deceased psychic master Hai, sent a message to Laura's brother. Ishan was thrilled upon receiving the message. Killing Lin Feng meant millions in contribution points. Lin Feng then lay down on a branch and fell asleep. If danger arises, Tong Tong will show up. Ishan hurried along, getting more excited as he neared Xiaofeng Mountain. He didn't notice the paper airplane flying behind him, observing everything. President Yan learned someone was after Lin Feng and sent messengers to warn him. Realizing it would take a while to get there, the woman sighed, understanding the situation. The bride and regent is going that way, pursued by a psychic master. Lin Feng can't catch a break. In the early hours, windless paper airplane rifted to boy sleeping in tree. The plane's tip nudged Lin Feng's cheek and a voice said, "Lin Feng, wake up." Lin Feng squinted, grumbling at the inconsiderate plane. Then it transformed into a human. It was the paper figure from Lin Feng's spirit awakening ceremony. Before Lin Feng could speak, he said, "I'm here to warn you of the danger ahead." Lin Feng looked up and asked, "You mean the bride and regent?" The paper figure was stunned. "No, how do you know? Have you seen it? There's more to it than that. There's a B-level psychic master after you, and they'll be here shortly." Lin Feng got flustered and slipped up, so he just said he saw them from a distance. "He knows about the psychic master trying to hunt you down too." The paper monitor asked, "You don't actually think you can take them on alone, do you? My actual body is on the way. This paper figure can't protect you." Lin Feng disregarded it, leapt from the branch, and took out Hei's identity card and received a message from Ishan. "I'm at the base of the mountain. Where shall we meet?" The paper monitor hurried after Lin Feng and said, "What are you doing? Don't walk into death." But Lin Feng remained remarkably calm, as if he knew everything all along. It seemed like he deliberately drew Ishan over. Then the paper figure asked a question. "Has your spirit reached level B already?" Lin Feng simply said yes. This revelation shook the papered all-inspector. How is such rapid growth possible? If not a spirit communicator, it has to be a rare latent spirit, stunning papered all-inspector. Unfazed, Lin Feng stood confidently at the peak, declaring all preparations complete now. We just need to wait for Ishan. He's already racing toward us after receiving the news. Lin Feng is still asleep in the pavilion. Head to the big tree on the east mountain to find me. But when Ishan arrived, no one was. He spotted an embroidered shoe by the tree root. At first glance, the shoe was clearly unusual, leaving Ishan puzzled about what was happening. Where is everyone, and what's with this shoe? Ishan picked it up to inspect it. A paper airplane from a haystack asked Lin Feng if the embroidered shoe was what the bride and regent had searched for. Lin Feng replied, "That's right. It seems to be part of the bride's ensemble. The bride and regent should be arriving soon. Our target is now that fool." Tong Tong emerged in evil spirit mode, using ghost concealment to envelop Lin Feng in the paper airplane. Lin Feng realized that the bride and regent had indeed arrived. A flash of red light streaked toward the peak of Xiaofeng Mountain. Ishan, a psychic master, sensed the situation and drew his weapon. Unexpectedly, the bride's speed was so fast she appeared in an instant right in front of Ishan. Lin Feng, hiding, watched tensely. "This ghost is more powerful than I thought." Buzzing, her domain unfolded. Ishan was sucked in, and the haunted mansion appeared directly on the east mountain top. The domain manifested. Lin Feng realized where the paper airplane went. "We're here, Lin Feng," hearing a moan as we arrived. Members of the Psychic Master Association appeared before Lin Feng, focusing on the woman ahead. Lin Feng couldn't believe this was the Psychic Master Association's leader. Lin Feng had only seen paper figures and assumed the UC leader was a puppet, a middle-aged man in his 40s. Instead, President Yan smiled slightly. She didn't mind taking it as Lin Feng praising her youth. After a short break, Lin Feng and the group set out to explore the haunted house. They hoped to use the Psychic Master's power to return the embroidered shoes. Yet it seems their decision could lead to trouble. To avoid alerting the bride and regent, they refrained from summoning spirits. Lin Feng walked into the courtyard, decorated for a wedding. The group was about to explore when President Yan stopped them, saying, "Wait, let me scout ahead." She took out a paper crane and blew on it. The paper crane fluttered up but quickly shattered and disappeared. President Yin immediately sensed something was wrong. She told everyone to summon their spirits, which caused panic because no matter how hard they tried, they activated their spirit artifacts but their spirits didn't respond. Only Lin Feng stayed calm, slightly puzzled why he couldn't sense the spirits. President Yan gestured for everyone to leave quickly. As they reached the door, they found it was already starting to close. With a sudden bang, everyone found themselves completely trapped inside. The psychic masters attempted to break the door open, but it was futile. The door didn't budge. Just as they were about to try again, a scream drew everyone's attention as Yishan was flung from a room window. The large knife he held had mysteriously disappeared. After crashing through the window, he hurtled into the main door, finally coming to a stop. He then slid down the door, leaving a long blood trail. There was no more movement, but no one was paying attention to Yishan now. Everyone's attention was on the bride in Reed, a B-class spirit hovering in the courtyard. Psychic Master Association members were uneasy encountering a ghost, secluding domain. After all, ghosts are their main strength. President Yin reassured everyone to stay calm. Lin Feng said, if it comes to that, I'll sacrifice lifespan to summon Zhixiaobai. If I can temporarily breach the domain, can you summon the ghosts, President Yan? In theory, yes, came the reply. But how do you intend to separate it? Lin Feng summoned Tong Tong, shocking the Psychic Master Association members. They were amazed that he wasn't suppressed. Lin Feng himself was quite surprised, all thanks to the system, as Tong Tong appeared. He unfolded his domain, carving out a small space within the bride and Red's domain. He pulled President Yan and Zhao Yun, standing beside Lin Feng, into it. The bride and Reed interrupted Tong Tong's domain summoning. Xiaobi AI's call sounded as white feathers and a spear shot straight at the bride and Reed. A fierce explosion erupted, with others watching helplessly from the sidelines. When the dust cleared, the bride and Reed was unscathed. Feathers and the spear were lodged in the ground around her. Fenyu circled above, watching the bride and Reed's every move. She looks like a tiny golden angel and is a C-class benevolent spirit. Xiaobi AI, a B-class spirit, wears dramatic attire, wielding a long spear. He pointed the spear straight at the bride and Reed, seeing she was unharmed. Xiaobi AI lunged forward, his spear moving so swiftly it left after images. The bride and Reed skillfully dodged every attack, allowing Fenyu to launch a golden feather arrow. The bride and Reed assistants stopped holding back. Several red ribbons shot out, stopping all the feather arrows might drag. The battle was chaotic, with both sides evenly matched. Lin Feng's side still had Tong Tong, a B-level spirit, holding the upper hand. Now was the perfect moment to present the shoes. Lin Feng took out the embroidered shoes. The bride and Reed's movements suddenly halted as the shoes were presented. Lin Feng spoke, and everyone immediately ceased their attacks. President Yan turned in disbelief, questioning Lin Feng, but he insisted they had subdued her. Trust me, as Feng Yu and Xiaobi AI's attacks approached, the bride and Reed remained unresponsive. President Yan and Xiao Yun finally realized Lin Feng and halted the attack. Under amazed stares, Lin Feng approached the bride and Reed with the embroidered shoe. Reaching the bride and Reed, she took the embroidered shoe with a red ribbon. Task 1 complete. Task complete. The bride and Reed's bond increased by 15. President Yan exclaimed in disbelief. You're not planning to make her your second spirit, are you? Lin Feng replied, exactly. President Yan started to warn him about such a powerful spirit in its domain, but stopped. She fell silent. The bride and Reed's aura grew stronger once she had the embroidered shoe. In moments, her ghostly energy from a pillar of light that shot into the sky. With the embroidered shoe, the bride and Reed. Once she completed her form, she advanced to an A-level evil spirit. President Yan was shocked. The bride and Reed was now beyond what they could handle. Lin Feng didn't expect the bride and Reed to reach a level, making their 15-point bond inadequate. With a lift of her shoe, she made everyone in the Psychic Master Association struggle to breathe. This was an A-level spirit with a powerful domain. Realized they were outside the domain just as they prepared to act. While others wondered what was happening, President Yan realized at once. Something was wrong. The bride and Reed had expelled everyone from the domain, leaving Lin Feng. The president ordered the others to retreat while she monitored Lin Feng herself. She instructed them to keep the bride and Reed's domain abilities a secret. Suddenly, Lin Feng realized he was alone in the vast courtyard. I had no idea where the bride and Reed had disappeared to. Thankfully, the system prompted me to enter the bridal chamber for bond task 2. Combing the bride and Reed's hair would earn 15 bond points, so Lin Feng opened the door as prompted. The bride and Reed was there, seated silently at the vanity, red veil missing, the scene in Selin. How could I comb her hair when I couldn't even see her head? Mustering his courage, Lin Feng stepped closer and saw the bride and Reed reflected in the mirror. In the mirror, she was stunning yet tear-streaked, her forehead ornament highlighting eerie beauty. In the lower right corner of the table, Lin Feng found a broken half of a wooden comb, barely usable but sufficient. He picked up the wooden comb, carefully adjusting it while watching the bride in the mirror. As Lin Feng combed through the hair, he was surprised to feel its texture. As Lin Feng kept combing, the bride's form slowly became clearer. Lin Feng glanced at the mirror again and noticed the bride's hair was much smoother. The tear stains vanished, replaced by a stunning smile. Ding! System prompt, task completed, bond 15. Task 3, stop the bride and maid's wedding. Reward bride's bond 20. As the system voice spoke, the mirror bride parted her lips, sending pink mist outside the mirror. The mist spread rapidly, wrapping the whole room. Lost in it, Lin Feng saw nothing, only whispers echoing softly in his ears. First comb to the hair's end, second comb. Third comb, a harmonious flight together. But by the fourth, something felt wrong. It's chilling to hear fourth comb, tears shed in the realm of the afterlife. As the smoke cleared, Lin Feng opened his eyes to a drastically changed scene. Lin Feng quickly realized, could this be the era of the bride and Reed? As he stood dazed, the woman at the vanity turned with a joyful question. Lin Feng, does this wedding dress look nice? I made it myself. Lin Feng was momentarily speechless. Who are you? He asked while she giggled. I'm Xuanhua. ZMO, are you mesmerized? Xuanhua is now 17, eldest daughter of the wealthy Xuan family in Yangzhou. She handed the comb to Lin Feng. Here's your part. Remember, we agreed to propose together. Lin Feng realized Xuanhua called him Zima. He asked, wait, what did you call me? Thinking Lin's emo was teasing, Xuanhua replied, I can't call you my husband until we're married. Lin Feng, as Master Lin's emo, looked into the bronze mirror and saw his reflection clearly. He realized he was now Lin's emo, the third son of the Lin family at Yangzhou Academy, and Xuanhua's friend he had crossed into this world. As the fiancé of the bride and Reed, Lin Feng gazed at the wooden comb, puzzled. If she's supposed to marry me, how can I prevent the wedding? It wasn't until Lin Feng died with Xuan Yu, the Xuan family's eldest son, that he learned of the truth. General Wang Wei proposed to the Xuan family for Xuanhua. The wedding is set for the 8th. That's when Lin Feng realized what stopping the marriage truly meant. Xuan Yu gave Lin Feng an invitation. Though called an invitation, it was just a letter to Lin Feng. Ziemo hasn't been able to reply. Please forgive me. I only found out 7 days ago that my family had arranged a marriage with General Wang Wei. It's about family interests. I tried everything to refuse, but my father wouldn't listen. I was useless and even tried to escape, but my parents locked me in a room. I think about the wedding dress I made for you, but now I have to wear it to marry someone else. It pains me to think about it, but since there's no other way, I just hope you stay safe. General Song holds great power. Remember, don't act impulsively. Keep it in mind. Reading the letter, Lin Feng realized they sacrificed their own child for power. How is this any different from parents leaving their child on the street? Indeed, across all times and classes, human selfishness remains unchanged. The same. Children are merely tools for parents to indulge their vanity. Lin Feng was enraged. Xuanhua, wait for me. I won't let this tragedy occur. On the wedding day, Lin Feng sneaked into the bridal procession. He wanted to see what kind of general would forcibly take a girl. As the breeze lifted the curtain, Lin Feng saw an empty suit of armor. Curious, Lin Feng asked the person beside him why the groom hadn't come. The person replied, General Song wanted to, but died on the battlefield 3 days ago. It's still a wedding, but now it's a spirit marriage. No wonder people are performing mourning rituals with white flags. No wonder spirit money is scattered everywhere. Lin Feng grew even angrier upon hearing this. They're making Xuan a deceased person. Aren't ghost marriages only for the dead? Can the living join? Xuanhua waited for the procession, looking stunning in her wedding dress. A servant offered her a bowl of peanut and reed date porridge, signifying a hope for children. Then they told Xuanhua it was time to go. Xuanhua's parents looked reluctant, but said nothing more. Xuanhua sighed and drank the porridge. She knew there was no future with Lin's Imo. Lin Feng urgently wanted to tell Xuanhua the news, no longer caring about discretion. Rushed frantically to Xuanhua. Seeing she was safe, Lin Feng sighed with relief. Xuanhua immediately lifted her veil at his voice. Mo, how are you here? I'm taking you away. Lin Feng declared firmly. Xuanhua couldn't hold back her tears of longing and emotion that slid down her cheeks. Just then her father blocked Lin Feng. Get lost, you troublemaker. Lin Feng ignored him, grabbed Xuanhua, and they ran to a nearby carriage he had ready. Once we're on it, we can escape, but at the last moment Xuanhua let go of his hand. She began to cough uncontrollably, blood oozed from her lips, and she collapsed. Lin Feng rushed forward, baffled by what was happening. Despite everything, Xuanhua realized the porridge was poisoned. She asked why her parents did this. The old couple finally admitted, we're sorry, Huer. General Song was killed in battle 2 days ago. Only a ghost could marry him. If your mother hadn't shown mercy, you wouldn't have made it this far. Furious, Lin Feng said, how do you decide Xuanhua's fate? Where's the antidote? Give it to me. However, Lin Feng is no longer a psychic master, just a frail scholar, easily restrained and pinned down. Xuanhua weakly cried out for his emo, yet in this vast world, nobody cared. Only Lin's emo cared, only him. In the end, Xuanhua died, just like a few others. On her father's orders, they carried the coffin in. Ironically, a happiness symbol was pasted on it. Lin Feng cursed profit-driven scoundrels, but it was in vain. He was thrown into the well by the servants while Xuanhua was placed into a coffin, to be handed over to the wedding procession. But when the coffin appeared, everyone was shocked. A red figure hovered over the coffin, giggling. Then, without warning, red ribbons flew and killed everyone present. Lin Feng lay powerless at the bottom of the well, his vision blurring from pain. He muttered, "The sky is so red like your wedding dress, Xuan Hua. Is this how it ends?" He opened his eyes to see a playful girl staring at him. At just 6 years old, Lin Feng had already been left behind by his parents. He's lived his life constantly hungry, never warm enough. The little girl approached him. "I'm Tong Tong. What's your name?" She pulled out a piece of bread and handed it to Lin Feng. Lin Feng stared in disbelief. Though strangers, she offered him her food. Lin Feng. He devoured the bread in seconds. He had been hungry for so long. Seeing Lin Feng, stars sparkled in Tong Tong's eyes as she turned to her grandfather. "Can I look after him?" Lin Feng eventually followed Tong Tong and her grandfather back to their slightly run-down home. His parents abandoned him because the spirit artifact Sora was too weak to be of any value. Tong Tong hugged Lin Feng and said, "I'll be your mom." Lin Feng couldn't hold back his feelings. With tears in his eyes, he whispered, "Thank you, Tong Tong," holding onto the embrace. Lin Feng felt something was off and suddenly opened his eyes to see. Tong Tong, now transformed, was holding him tightly. Tong Tong had expanded her domain, pulling Lin Feng and freeing him from the illusion. Seeing Xuanhua, Lin Feng felt a deep loss. She no longer had human consciousness. Xuanhua ignored Lin Feng and Tong Tong, walking right outside. Suddenly, a red bridal veil floated down. The whole domain shifted abruptly, and Lin Feng heard a jingling. It was the shaman soul bells from the wedding ceremonies. Could it be that there's actually a ghostly sedan ahead, just as the wedding dress leads? Lin Feng was right. The marriage was one who was in her struggle. Tong Tong and Lin Feng rushed ahead to try and break the cycle. However, just at the doorway, there's a light barrier that Tong Tong can't pass through. Even Lin Feng remains outside the barrier, while the ringing still draws Xuanhua in. Just as she approached the ghostly sedan, Lin Feng had no choice but to dash in front of her to stop her. "Have you forgotten the past?" Xuanhua didn't want to harm Lin Feng, but she wasn't going to stop. She moved right through Lin Feng and continued on. Lin Feng realized his connections weren't strong enough to control Xuanhua. Suddenly, an idea came to him that was worth a try. He tied a rope around himself and jumped into the well from his memories. As expected, he found Lin's Iemo's body in the well along with half of the wooden comb. With no time to mourn, Lin Feng hurried to Xuanhua's chamber. He found the other half of the comb, and combining the two pieces caused a humming sound. It sent out ripples, and when they reached Xuanhua, she stopped. She turned to Lin Feng, who was holding the comb, and he quickly said, "Do you remember this keepsake?" In Xuanhua's view, Lin Feng's image gradually merged with Lin's Iemo's. She reached out and took the comb. Beneath the empty wedding dress, a human figure became visible, with tears streaming down her face. Xuanhua finally awoke, but to Lin Feng's surprise, she stuck to her plan, turned around, and charged at the ghost carriage again. Lin Feng tried to stop her, but she had already broken through the light screen. The ghost carriage was right in front of her and quickly shattered into pieces amid the swirling threads. Lin Feng reached the doorway in time to see Xuanhua slash the ghost carriage apart. So fast. But in the next moment, the ghost carriage restored itself, grew limbs, and began to attack. If Tong Tong hadn't reacted quickly to block the assault, Lin Feng might have been seriously hurt. He would have been badly hurt, but physical attacks were useless. The damaged parts healed visibly fast. Lin Feng cursed, it's immune to physical attacks. Suddenly, Lin Feng had an idea. This paper carriage can be set on fire. Lin Feng pulled out a Molotov cocktail and tossed it directly into the carriage. The fire engulfed the ghost carriage, and Tong Tong formed a light barrier to shield Lin Feng from flames. After the fire, the ghost carriage was left in ruins, but the situation wasn't over. In just seconds, the ghost carriage transformed again. This time, it took on a humanoid shape, all in white, and just a glance was chilling. Once transformed, the ghost carriage's first target was Xuanhua. With ghostly green flames, Xuanhua faced the claws of the ghost carriage. Though she appeared vulnerable, her ghost fire withstood the ghost carriage's attack. But she wasn't done. Xuanhua unleashed her power, flames surged, and ghost fire clung to the carriage. Seeing the damage caused by Xuanhua's ghost fire, Lin Feng quickly asked Tong Tong to assist. Xuanhua used threads to channel her ghost fire and hold back the phantom carriage. Tong Tong, ever precise with Lin Feng's orders, swiftly wrapped the phantom carriage. Xuanhua hovered above, unleashing threads to trap the phantom carriage. The threads latched onto the phantom carriage, and ghostly green flames instantly spread outwards. The flames engulfed the phantom carriage entirely, and the system confirmed the task's completion. With the bride in red's bond increased by 20, Lin Feng sighed in relief. It was finally over. The bond with the bride in red reached 50, allowing the system to assist Lin Feng to bind her as his second ghostly spirit. Guided by the system, Lin Feng offered a drop of blood for Xuanhua to consume. But before that, Xuanhua needs to show her face. Lin Feng lifted Xuanhua's red veil, revealing her stunning face once again. Then, Lin Feng made his finger to draw blood. As he prepared to offer blood, Xuanhua took Lin Feng's hand and put his bleeding finger in her mouth. After sucking his finger, she even licked it. What guy could handle that? Lin Feng wondered if Xuanhua saw him as her husband now. Ding! Congratulations on the bind. With his second ghost spirit. Reward 1 ghost spirit pill. Ghost spirit experience increased by 1000, granting you 1 lottery chance. Ghost spirit Xuanhua level A, 3-star potential. Abilities Flash Shield, Ghost Flash, Ghost Flame, Ghost Starts. Domain Suppression Talent. Exceptional Perception, Double Domain, Rare Ability. At last, Lin Feng captured the elusive bride and reeve Xuanhua and promptly took her into the boudoir where they sat together on the bed's edge. Lin Feng studied Xuanhua's skills. Flash Shift allows short teleports within the domain. With her remarkable perception, she possesses an exceptional escape ability. Her most powerful skill is the double domain, which severs the connection between a psychic master and a spirit. It can also suppress spirits more powerful than her. Having finished studying the skills, Lin Feng set Xuanhua aside and began a lottery draw. Ding! Congrats host on acquiring Ghost Rune Deciphering, enabling deciphering runes with spirit assistance. Yet, as a newcomer, Lin Feng doesn't even know what ghost runes are. Anyway, it's bound to be something good, so he claimed it first. Suddenly, a sound like galloping hooves echoed in Lin Feng's mind. Curious about the hoofbeats, Lin Feng was about to head outside. Xuanhua suddenly stood up, grabbed Lin Feng, and looked slightly panicked. Right after Lin Feng noticed Xuanhua's domain had vanished. He realized he was no longer at Xiaofeng Mountain. Xuanhua had retreated into the spirit artifact exhausted. After thinking it over, Lin Feng realized Xuanhua must have heard the hoofbeats. She used her fizzing ability, indicating the hoofbeats likely came from a hostile spirit or perhaps the mastermind behind the ghost carriage. Either way, Xuanhua chose to flee, showing it wasn't easy to handle. We need to gather some information first. We're close to Liu City. Let's head back and take a break. Soon after, at the top of the Golden City Wall, a voice filled with disbelief echoed from the Liu Cheng Psychic Masters Association. Oh my goodness, you actually made it out alive. Inside the association, President Yan gazed at Lin Feng, overwhelmed with emotion. You've been gone for 3 days, and I was starting to think. President Yan left the rest and said. Instead, she asked, what about the bride and reed? Calmly, Lin Feng smiled and said, it's been handled. What? You actually controlled a top-level A-class evil spirit? Right now, President Yan was at a loss for words to describe her feelings. There was also an 18-year-old who once controlled an A-class evil spirit. That only happened because the headquarters pulled out all the stops. Lin Feng is probably an invisible spirit body. Are they really that strange? Lin Feng couldn't care less about this matter. He credited Chairwoman Yan's cooperation, which Lin Feng hadn't anticipated. In response to his thank you, Chairwoman Yan smiled and said, thanks aren't necessary. Why not give me some real benefits? Chairwoman Yan's suggestion made Lin Feng uneasy, he stammered. What sort of benefits? Chairwoman Yan laughed. Simple, just join the Psychic Master Alliance. Just take a post in my area and back me up. Lin Feng's immediate thought was, she plans to involve him in the work. Chairwoman Yan noticed his concern and continued speaking. Your role as special envoy includes freedom. You'll be invited to major tasks, but it's not mandatory. Plus, you'll have access to internal documents. This perk caught Lin Feng's attention. You won't have much work, but you'll still have access to the information. It's a great chance to learn about Xuanhua's enemies in the mysterious Juxiao Temple. Lin Feng decisively agreed. After his agreement, President Yan stretched lazily, showing off her graceful figure. Lin Feng was mesmerized. Tong Tong and Xuanhua ghost spirits chill the air. President Yan's mature allure captivates Lin Feng. With her striking looks, President Yan doesn't mind Lin Feng's staring. She's pleased. Enjoy the view, as this privilege is yours alone. She exhausted every trick to win over Lin Feng, and President Yan's coffee was delivered. The person who opened the door was stunned. He'd never seen anything like it. He saw President Yan pinning Lin Feng against the wall and wisely closed the door. He said, I didn't see anything, and left. Seeing Lin Feng's flushed cheeks, President Yan was pleased her goal was achieved. She got back to the topic of joining the Psychic Master Alliance. One key condition is rank certification. Apprentices will be recognized. The Liu City Evaluation Conference happens to be the day after tomorrow, Yan said with a playful grin. She flashed a V-sign at Lin Feng and said, get ready to participate. Your big sister will be cheering for you, oh goddess in a wedding dress every day. Ever wondered what it's like to have someone slip into your bed? Lin Feng can tell you. He thought Xuanhua needed time to recuperate. He casually left the wooden comb on the table. Who would have thought? As soon as Lin Feng fell asleep, Xuanhua jumped out of the wooden comb. Gazing at Xuanhua's expression, Lin Feng was at a loss for words. Even stunning and charming fall short of capturing her essence. Then, Xuanhua naturally slipped into Lin Feng's bed, leaving him unsure how to react. Xuanhua didn't mind, she just fixed her gaze on Lin Feng. Unaware, she watched as Lin Feng struggled to fall asleep under her gaze. The next morning, the alarm rang endlessly before it managed to wake Lin Feng. Lin Feng woke up and got out of bed feeling exhausted. He noticed Xuanhua had already laid out his clothes. Xuanhua seemed to treat him like her husband, even starting to impress him. When she tried to help him change, Lin Feng quickly waved it off. I'll do it myself. The Psychic Master tournament was bustling, with the large venue filling up early. The vibrant host on her floating bird kicked off the event with enthusiasm. The first batch featured last year's students and a select few newcomers like Lin Feng. The fresh graduates in the audience were thrilled to see Lin Feng. They took pride in having a genius in their graduating class. Last year's students seemed indifferent Lin Feng, unlike excited graduates. With only a 30 pass rate, that fresh graduate still thinks he can get a spot. He's in for a rude awakening. Lin Feng didn't care about the sarcastic remarks. Being a band and young made him mature. The first round is a test with 30 questions, 1 minute per answer. One wrong answer and you're out. By question 23, a third of the participants were already out. Lots of people were complaining about how tough this year's test was. But Lin Feng thought the test was easy. The second test measures composure, as a psychic master must stay calm against tough enemies. In this test, the 3 examiners will unleash an evil spirit's aura to test focus. First up is the D-level spirit Mandragora. She's not exactly scary, she even looks rather gentle. But the aura she released had most students trembling. Lin Feng remained unfazed. Then came Xingtian, a C-level spirit, advising them to be strong and not falter this round. Still, many couldn't muster the strength and had to leave the stage. Even a gifted graduate wore a look of discontent. She thought she was so close, and others shared the disappointment. Luna, the prodigy from Class 1, was expected to make it. With Luna out, all hopes were now on the last graduate, Lin Feng. The third examiner unleashed full power, revealing parasitic B-level spirit Demon Eye. Its mere presence was terrifying, and once Demon Eye unleashed its aura, only 9 candidates remained.